This video is sponsored by Normandy1998, Ash, Christopher Mitchell and 212th Trooper. Hey everyone, happy Halloween! To celebrate this spooky, scary holiday, I've decided to do the thing that horrifies me most as a content creator, a crossover. In this case, between Pokémon and Digimon, since as far as crossovers go, I believe they could at least blend together in a logical and interesting manner, due to being similar Monster Tamer style franchises. However, due to my antipathy towards crossovers in general, I'm setting a like goal of 10,000 likes for this to receive a second part, so be sure to like the video, and while you're down there, why not subscribe if you haven't already, since currently only about half of my viewers are subscribed. But enough vamping, let's get on with what you're all here to see. What if Ash started with Agumon? Our tale begins as many Pokémon stories do, in Pallet Town on the morning of Ash's first Pokémon journey. As in canon, he is badly overslept, so that when he hastily makes his way to Professor Oak's lab, he's still in his pajamas. This does not escape the notice of his longtime rival Gary Oak, who's also starting out today, with the brunette boy sneering that Ash is a joke, and there's no point for him to even bother getting a Pokémon from his gramps, since he's already got the best one, and will use it to become a Pokémon master, and make Pallet Town famous. Then with another word, he departs in his convertible, flanked by cheerleaders while half the townspeople wave him off, though surprisingly, Professor Oak is not one of them, instead speaking to Ash as he muses that he looks like he's ready for bed, not Pokemon training. Nonetheless, on the boy's insistence, he does lead him up to the lab, where he proceeds to play a rather cruel joke on him by allowing him to get excited as he reaches for each Pokeball, declaring its inhabitant will be his partner, only to reveal they are empty, as someone more punctual already claimed them. Unsurprisingly, this greatly distresses Ash, who begs the man to give him a Pokemon, any Pokemon, and while at first he considers entrusting him with the Pikachu he caught a while back, he quickly disabuses himself of that notion, as a boy who cannot even dress himself properly would stand no chance against such a volatile creature. Thankfully, there is one other option, though it too will be a big responsibility. In a serious tone, Oak asks Ash if he is willing to assist him in his research on a new seemingly one-of-a-kind Pokemon, with the raven-haired boy nodding vigorously, as he states that he'll do anything if it means he can have a Pokemon of his own. Smiling at his youthful exuberance, the old man leads the boy further into the lab, where an orange reptilian Pokemon much like a Charmander without a tail is seated on his couch munching down on crackers. At the sight of the humans, the Pokemon turns and waves amiably, and smiling back at it now too, Oak introduces Ash to Agumon. In a tone of wonderment, Ash greets the Pokemon, running over to examine it more closely, though shockingly, it greets him right back, sticking out a clawed hand to shake, and grinning, "Put it there, pal." Having never heard a Pokemon speak before, Ash at first leaps back a little in surprise, but when Agumon good-naturedly assures him that it, or rather he, isn't gonna bite, Ash shakes the orange dinosaur's hand, while Oak explains that he wants the two of them to travel together, since while it has been a great joy to study Agumon here in the lab, having never imagined a Pokemon such as him could exist, he believes practical experience out in the world will yield an even greater understanding. Affably, Agumon nods this is fine by him, while curiously Ash asks what the professor means by a Pokemon like Agumon, to which the man explains that Agumon by all accounts is a digital Pokemon, having emerged from out of his PC one day seemingly unprompted. To some, this story would raise more questions than answers, though Ash is not one of them, as in his evident excitement to have a Pokemon partner of his own, digital or otherwise, he just grins this is awesome, before telling Agumon to come on. However, before he can go, Professor Oak does insist that Ash take a few items with him, namely a set of Pokeballs and a Pokédex, explaining the former are all for wild Pokemon, since he's still working on a Pokeball that can contain Agumon's unique data, and the latter will help in capturing any new information the boy discovers on the dinosaur, as well as transmit it back to the lab. Grinning, Ash promises that he won't let the prof down, then with a cheer he charges out the door with Agumon by his side. While Gary's crowd is dissipated by the time Ash arrives back outside, he does at least have one fan waiting for him, his mother, who beams with pride at her son starting his journey, and even dotes on Agumon, calling him the most unique Charmander she's ever seen. That is, until he corrects her, leaving the auburn-haired woman more than a little stunned at this talking Pokemon. Nonetheless, taking this in stride a moment later just like her son has, Delia urges Agumon to take good care of Ash for her, then after giving the boy a hug, hands him his backpack and implores him to stay safe. Confidently, Ash grins that he'll be fine with Agumon by his side, and in this he does not know how right he is. So after bidding goodbye to his mum and getting dressed, he and his partner begin strolling up Route 1 until they come across a Pidgey. Eagerly, Ash tells Agumon to battle it, and wanting to make a good first impression, the orange reptile unleashes a pepperette that soars right at the bird and completely incinerates it. Looking down at the blackened and very unconscious normal flying type, Ash laughs that he thinks his buddy went a little overboard, though at least they know he's a fire type now. While rubbing the back of his head, Agumon admits that he guesses he doesn't know his own strength, since back home that would be considered a mid to low strength attack. Curiously, Ash asks the dinosaur about his home, with Agumon explaining that he comes from the digital world, where there are countless other creatures like him, though they call themselves Digimon, not Pokemon. Figuring this must be just different people's names for the same thing, Ash does not push this any further, instead chatting amiably with his friend about all the adventures they'll have together as they continue their walk. It truly seems as though nothing could ruin the pair's day, with even the rain not putting a dampener on their spirits. Though, when lightning begins flashing in the sky, Agumon does make the salient point that maybe they ought to hunker down and wait for the storm to pass. Having no need to rush, as it usually takes trains a few days to reach Viridian City, Ash has no objection, setting up camp under a tree with Agumon's help, and even using pepper breath to make a small fire from a few fallen branches that haven't been soaked. Unfortunately, this does mean the pair do not spot Ho-Oh in the sky, though since they can't miss what they don't know exists, this doesn't bother them, with the duo instead rising early the next morning and making their way further along the path. As they go, they catch sight of a red-headed girl on a bike ahead of them, though between the distance and the speed with which she is moving, the Pallet pair lose sight of her before too long, with them seeing no one else until they stroll into Viridian City around midday, having maintained an excited but not strenuous pace. However, not everyone is having such a good day, as when they pass by the Pokémon Center they find it cordoned off with police tape, as Officer Jenny explains that last night 3 brilliant criminals, one of whom was a talking Pokémon, carried out a daring heist, making off with half the center's injured Pokémon. As a result, security around the city has been raised, and the center is off limits, so she'd suggest taking that poor skull-less Cubone to Pewter City for treatment. Choosing to ignore the unintentional insult, Ash and Agumon instead lock eyes, clearly both wondering the same thing: if this talking Pokemon might actually be a digimon, since if one can cross over into this world, why can't more? Since it would be unwise for the orange lizard to speak lest they be mistaken for the criminals, Ash acts as their mouthpiece and asks which direction the fugitives fled, with Jenny explaining the witnesses said they were going north by balloon, though our officers have yet to find any trace of the craft or its occupants. Hating the idea of stolen Pokemon, and also wanting to test his hunch, Ash promises to keep an eye out for them too. Then without any preamble he takes off along the northernmost road out of town, that being the one that leads into Viridian Forest. Sadly, he had 2 more encounters from Cannon and Mist, the ones with Caterpie and Pidgeotto, as due to running later, Ash misses them both, since it's a pretty big forest and he's not leaving the beaten path. However, this is not to say that he has no canonical encounters, as once he reaches the back half of the forest, he does still come face to sword with Samurai, who demands he battle him as the 4th Pallet Town trainer to pass his way. Figuring the first must have been Gary, Ash eagerly accepts this invitation to battle, telling Agumon to back him up, while Samurai calls forth his pincer. In his haughty voice, the armor-clad youth jeers that this little reptile will stand no chance against his fearsome bug, as it is the mightiest of its kind, the shogun of the forest, the extra crispy pile of carapace twitching on the ground, having taken a pepper breath right to the face while the boy was monologuing. Nonetheless, Samurai refuses to be daunted, as if his fierce attack cannot defeat the lizard, then his Metapod with its impenetrable defense will, it's gone too, having likewise fallen to a single pepper breath. In a somewhat sassy tone, Ash suggests that maybe this guy would do better if he actually battled rather than going on and on about how great his Pokemon are. Though petulantly, Samurai refuses to heed the words of one who unfairly used type advantage against his bugs, naming Ash a lucky novice and stomping away in a huff. Looking at each other with matching expressions of bewilderment, Ash asks Agumon what that guy's problem was when he challenged them. Though shrugging, the fiery Digimon suggests that maybe he's just a sore loser, so going down that fast might have bruised his ego. Sighing that his starter is probably right, Ash takes the lead once again, with the pair continuing their stroll through the forest. Due to having seen and smelled what happened to Pinsir and Metapod, the Pokemon of the forest give the duo a wide berth from then on, so that all they spot are occasional rustlings in the trees and bushes for the remainder of their time in the forest. Likewise, they find no trace of the criminals with the talking Pokemon, meaning that when they emerge from out of the forest a few days later, they are more or less in the same position they were when they entered it. Unfortunately, this does not just apply to matters such as team size and encounters, as on reflection, Ash realizes that he still has no idea how he is meant to move towards his dream of becoming a Pokemon master, with Agumon only being able to offer a shrug when the boy asks him. Taking Officer Jenny's advice from back in Viridian, Ash decides to visit the Pewter City Pokemon Center, entrusting Agumon to nurse Joy for some pampering after all that trekking, while he decides to take a look around, having not yet been inside a Pokemon Center. It is during this time that he discovers a poster advertising the Indigo League competition. Yes, that is actually how he learns about it in canon, and from there, that he will need to collect 8 gym badges. To his great delight, it turns out that Pewter City is one of the towns with a gym, meaning he can start by challenging that one. As a result, when Agumon is returned to him looking relaxed and refreshed from a chancy massage, Ash grabs him by the hand and begins running in the direction of the gym, grinning that they've got work to do. During the run, Ash fills Agumon in on their objective, with the orange lizard making a determined fist, as he promises to help his human buddy out however he can, earning him a smile and a declaration that he's the best as the pair arrive outside a building seemingly hewn entirely from stone. Seeing the words chiseled on the top left corner of the entrance do say Pewter Gym, Ash and Agumon make their way inside, not really sure what to expect, with the answer being more rocks, as the entire interior appears to be made of the stuff, while a young man with a stony expression sits in the back corner. Upon catching sight of them, he introduces himself as Brock, the gym leader, and questions if they wish to battle, to which Ash and Agumon both emphatically confirm they do. Intrigued by this talking Pokemon, Brock agrees to show them the power of the rock type, calling forth his Geodude and commanding it to use Mach Punch. As with his last two battles, Ash lazily instructs Agumon to use Pepper Breath, figuring this will finish the punchy boulder off like all the rest. Though, this is a misapprehension, as whether due to its typing resisting fire, or the fact that gym leaders are a cut above the average trainers in wild Pokemon, Geodude is able to withstand this hit, and even close in to sock Agumon across the snout. Worriedly, Ash asks his starter if he's okay, with the dino reassuring him that he doesn't have to worry, since Digimon are tough, a claim he backs up a moment later as he lunges in for a claw attack that rakes across Geodude's craggy head. Unfortunately, this is once more resisted, allowing Geodude to cling on and strike back with a second Mach Punch, this time in the form of a cross that leaves a bruise in the lizard's jaw. Nonetheless, this is about as far as the rock Pokemon goes, as even typing cannot save it from another Pepper Breath, making it the first casualty of the battle, and forcing Brock to bring out his ace in Onix. From the outside, this would look like an open and shut battle, as not only does Onix resist both of Agumon's moves, but it is also many times larger than it, though this is not enough to deter the pair of challengers, as on Ash's cry, Agumon pounces onto the rock snake's boulder body and begins slashing at it with his claws. In a testament to the fire type's power, this is enough to make Onix bellow in pain, a pain which only grows as Ash's Agumon alternate between scratching the stones and belching pepper breaths up at its face. Seeing this could be a problem if left unchecked, Brock decides to nip this in the bud, as he yells for Onix to use Bind, with the rock serpent roaring fiercely as it lashes out with its tail to wrap around Agumon. Having not expected this, the dinosaur finds himself trapped in his opponent's hold with his hands firmly pinned to his sides, while he is angled in such a way that he cannot hit Onix with his Pepper Breath. While that's not bad enough, the rock ground type then begins to squeeze, intending to use this constriction to knock Agumon out and win the battle. Urgently, Ash cries for his starter to break free, though try as he might, the physics is simply against him, with it seeming as though defeat is an inevitability. Even so, Ash does not give up on his friend, cheering him on with his whole heart and a showing of the strong bond they have established. As if in response to this, he feels a buzzing in his pocket, and as he fishes around in it, he finds his Pokédex with its screen all lit up as it seemingly transmits data out onto the battlefield. In that moment, Agumon also lets out a cry of, "Agumon, Digivolve 2!" before everything begins to change, with the lizard growing exponentially in size, while also taking on a more predatory appearance with horns and a thick, powerful-looking tail. Such a metamorphosis is more than enough to break Onix's hold, so that as the Digimon rises to its full height of about 15 feet, he dubs himself Greymon. Excitedly, Ash cheers out his congratulations to Greymon, grinning that he knew he could count on him, while in turn the great beast flashes his trainer a rather toothy smile with his now giant maw. Consulting the Pokédex to see what moves Greymon now knows, Ash is intrigued when he hears the words Nova Blast, as it is unlike any move he's heard of before. Eager to give it a try, Ash tells his buddy to use that, with the result being a massive ball of fire akin to a miniature sun, which he launches right at Onix. In that instant, type matchups are irrelevant, stats are irrelevant, everything one would think of when considering conventional Pokemon battling is irrelevant, as when Nova Blast hits, it doesn't just take down Onix, it brings down the gym around them, with chunks of rock falling from the sky as Ash yelps and dives to avoid being crushed. Nonetheless, mixed in with this fright is unmistakable elation, as Ash can hardly believe the power of his partner. If this is where they are now, how strong will they be when they have all 8 badges and are ready to challenge the league? Thanks to all the dust kicked up by the collapsing gym, the boy can no longer see Greymon, though all the same he begins heading in his general direction, all the while calling out for the giant dino. However, when the dust settles and Ash is able to see the battlefield and its inhabitants, it is not Greymon who stands triumphant over the unconscious Onix, but Agumon, having seemingly reverted to his prior form, something a Pokemon should not be able to do upon evolution, with this just proving there is still so much to learn about his mysterious partner. And that's where we'll leave things. What caused Greymon to revert to Agumon at the end of the battle? Why did Ash's Pokédex trigger this strange temporary evolution? And are there other Digimon already in the Pokemon world? Find out as the journey continues.